Taj Hotels just did something almost no other brand in this industry has bothered to do. They legally trademarked their sound, the first sound mark ever registered in hospitality in India, filed in January this year. Not a logo, not a wordmark, sound, which raises an uncomfortable question for every other brand out there with a jingle, an audio logo, or a signature sonic moment. Is yours actually protected or is it just playing? Sound marks aren't new. They've existed as a legal category for decades. The NBC chimes, the MGM Lions roar, the Intel's bong, you can probably hum right now. What's new is how few growing brands, especially in B2B, ever actually file for one on purpose. Here's roughly what it takes. A sound has to pass what's called the trademark function test. It can't just be pleasant noise. It has to actually tell listener who made it the same job a logo does for the eyes. Once it clears that bar, protection typically runs for 10 years and can be renewed indefinitely as long as you keep using it consistently. That's the same length of protection your visual logo gets. Most brands just never walk their sound through the same process. Touch feeling matters here specifically because it's a first. Hospitality is an industry built almost entirely on physical and visual signals. The lobby, the uniform, the stand at check-in, the hotel group designing its sound was worth the exact same legal treatment as its name says something about where this is heading. Not just for hotels, but for every category that's been treating audio as decoration instead of asset. Here's where the gap actually shows up. A brand can commission a fully custom, completely original audio logo, spend real money getting composed properly, use it consistently across every video, every product, every touchpoint for years, and still legally not really own it the way they think they do. Compare that to visual side. The moment a company gets serious about its logo, trademarking it almost automatic. Nobody skips that step for a wordmark or a symbol. It's just part of launching a brand properly. Sound rarely gets the same treatment, mostly because it's newer territory and because most teams simply never think to ask whether their sonic asset needs same legal step their visual asset already got. And this gap has a specific moment where it actually costs you. Not while you're building the identity, later once it's valuable enough to someone else starts sounding suspiciously close to it and you go looking for the paperwork that proves it was your first. That exact moment ownership question get expensive to answer that the fact, proving a sound was distinctively yours and had been for years. It's a very different conversation when a registration date on file versus the only one evidence is we've just always used this. Here's a pushback we hear most. We're a B2B company, not a global consumer brand like Taj. Does this even apply to us? It applies more than most teams assume, and for a very practical reason. Registering a sound mark is easiest and cheapest to justify exactly the moment you're building the identity in the first place, while it's clearly original, clearly new, and clearly yours. It gets harder, slower, and more expensive to establish later. Right when you actually need to defend from a competitor who's edging close. This is also exactly why it pairs with a conversation we had in the Spirit video. On the other side of the same coin, we covered the risk of using someone else's music without the right license in the legal risk hiding your stock music license. This is the flip side of that same question. Once you've built something original, have you actually secured it as yours? At Dimulti Music, this is part of why we build custom identity assets to be genuinely original from the first note. Specifically, so there's something clean and defensible worth registering, not just something that sounds nice to quarter. We're not IP attorneys. And this isn't legal advice, but it's 5-minute conversation worth having with whoever handles your trademarks, the same way that conversation already happened for your logo. So here's the real takeaway. Building a sonic identity was always only half the job. Owning it in a way that actually holds up is the other half, and it's the half almost nobody in B2B has gotten to yet. Ask yourself something simple. Has your sonic identity ever come up with a single conversation with your legal or IP team, not your marketing team, your legal team? If the honest answer is no, that's not a crisis, but it's a gap worth closing before someone else's sounds start drifting a little too close to yours. Let's build an identity that's actually yours, not just one that sounds like it.